Hello, everybody. My name is Jose Torres, and my research topic is about free people of color. So, a lot of us tend to make the generalization that throughout the history of the United States, people of African descent or African Americans were at the very bottom of society, whether they be held as slaves or were just poor in general. However, this is not 100% true, as is the case with the free people of color. So, this particular group traces its origins from the Louisiana Territory under the French and Spanish regimes. It is also important to note that during this time there was a huge amount of immigration from the Caribbean islands to the territory itself. But what led to the growth of this particular group were the liberal rules and laws implemented by both of these regimes. For instance, some of these rules allowed interracial marriage between free people of color and white Europeans, and they even gave free people of color a substantial amount of rights and civil liberties that resembled those of white Europeans. By the time that the United States had taken control of the territory in 1803, the population of free people of color had nearly tripled in size. Most of the free people of color possessed a strong socioeconomic status. Some were merchants, artisans, mechanics, and even some, interestingly enough, owned plantations and slaves, such as the case with Andrew Dunford, a prominent sugar plantation owner whose estate, named St. Rosalie, was valued at more than $72,000. But even though these individuals had a good number of rights and a stable socioeconomic status, they were still discriminated and segregated socially and legally. They were often secluded to reside in a particular neighborhood away from white individuals. They had to live a very balanced life so as not to be coming across as disrespectful or rude to white people, but also not to resemble slaves either. And many of them were prohibited from getting an education. But although they were legally prohibited from receiving one, they still sought to obtain one. For instance, by the 1800s, a lot of the free people of color were educated already. They were literate. They could read and write. Some of these actions that were taken towards educating free people of color usually were done in secret. For instance, there was this free person of color, a teacher named Mary Peak, who taught free people of color and children and adults. She actually opened several secret schools in order to educate them. By the 1800s, we start to see a very unique form of family life that was present in free people of color's lives. Many created nuclear families throughout the 18th and 19th centuries. But unlike slavery, white fathers were actually proud of their families and children. Mothers, on the other hand, they were skilled artisans, merchants, and even held their own jobs. And children sought ways to further their education and, in the long run, obtain an economic standing, obtain a job, and just be a active member of society. Thank you.